So we got the coping finished around the pond with all the rock work. And before I can finish the rock work in front of the skimmer, we need to do the faceplate attachment. We're gonna show you step by step how to do that. First of all, when we go over the tools real quick, I have a little screw gun to make my job go a little bit faster. I got a razor knife, a couple of screwdrivers, a little wrench, and of course my sealant. The very important factor is you're gonna want a rag as well so we can clean everything up before we put the sealant on. Let's begin. So first thing to do is get this thing all prepared. You know, we of course use this fabric to protect the liner when we're setting our stonework, but we want to be sure to get it away from this faceplate attachment, because if this fabric gets caught in there, it'll certainly make your mechanical attachment leak. All right, I got the fabric all cut out of the way, so we just have liner to deal with. We're gonna go ahead and take the hardware off of this faceplate, and it's always a good thing to maybe have a coffee cup close by. Keep my hardware in there. That way it doesn't get lost in the dirt. Okay, so we've got our face plates ready to go. Now the cleaning process, I'm going to begin to just get this thing dusted off a little bit. It doesn't have to be cleaned perfect at the moment. I'll show you when we're going to do that. But the first thing I want to tell you is, see like how long my liner is? I made my liner plenty long over here. What you don't want to do is pull the liner up tight to this edge and lift it up as far as you can. What you're going to want to do is leave a little bit of slack down there. Just a little fold allows to relieve some of the tension if there's any settling on some of the larger rocks that you might be setting, or if there's any settling around the skimmer. It has a little bit of freedom to move. So I've established a small fold down here to give us a little bit of freedom. And now I know exactly where my liner is going to be. I can line it up like that. See how I have it nice and tight? You want to make sure there's no wrinkles right there. Have it all tight right here. So the first thing I want to do before I clean anymore is I'm going to take one of the side panel face plates here and a screwdriver and find the hole. So I can puncture a hole with the screwdriver. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one piece of hardware and get it set up like this, and I'll push it through the liner like so. So right now we're just staging where everything's going to get glued. So that's my first piece, you see, right here. So push this back through. And now I can flatten this all out, because I want to do the same thing on the other side. Have a nice flat panel like so. I'll take the other side. Another bolt. I'm going to puncture a hole in this side. Making sure I don't have any wrinkles, all nice and flat. Puncture the hole through, and then feed this other piece through. All right, so now what you see, now that we have the two bolts identified where I'm going to be, now I can clean, this section right here. So I'll come through and wipe this down. Mainly worried about dust. Heavy dust here. I can get a little bit of water from the pond. Once you have this piece of liner all cleaned out, we're just going to clean the face of this where the attachment's going to go up against. And once again, my towel's just barely damp, just to knock off any construction dust and dirt and debris. I'm going to take the dry side and I'll rub it with the dry side as well. Once we have it all clean, then I can go ahead and put on my attachment, my sealant. I'll put the sealant on this face plate, and then I can just take these two guide pieces and put them right on. All right, now that I have everything all cleaned up, I'm gonna go ahead and put my sealant on this outside, and then we'll start making the attachment. So the bead you put on here doesn't need to be real thick. You can use silicone. This is a polyurethane that we use. Now that I have that thing done, my polyurethane is on there. I'm just gonna take these two pieces and I'm gonna line them up with the two holes and press it in, making sure there's no folds building here. And I don't want you to get too rushed and all panicked like it's gonna dry up on you. It takes a minute for the stuff to cure, so you have plenty of time. Okay, so I got those two guys in here. And now I'll just, it's interesting because the polyurethane or silicone, whatever you end up using, as you push it on here, it kind of makes everything, it holds it all together. See that? It's all stuck to the sides. Now I'm going to put these top two nuts on. And now it's not going to fall off, so I'm good right there. At this point, I want to secure these two face plates. So I'm going to come in with the bottom screw, and I'll puncture that hole, and I'll leave that thing sticking out while I go ahead and grab another nut and bolt. Now, as I pull it out, I'm going to put it in another slot immediately. See that? And that helps keep everything aligned. And then I can go ahead and insert this other bottom one. Okay, so coming over to this other side. Push that through. Once again, I'm coming up into the next slot, helping keep things aligned. So now that I have these two sidebars all lined up, I'm going to work on the bottom one. Once again, I'm looking at this real close here, and I'm not seeing any folds. If you had a fold in here, you're going to have a leak, so you want to make sure there's no folds. So now I'm going to grab my bottom bar for my faceplate attachment, and I'm going to line it with the bottom over here. Punch a hole through. So that screwdriver is holding it in place as we work through here. So that's why I like to keep that thing in there. So I'm going to pull it out, stick it in the next slot, and then push that bolt through. All right, now that I have all the holes pressed through, I can just add all the bolts at once. And then I can come through and I can add all the nuts on there. All right, so we're all lined up. Everything's held tight. I got good sealant in there. Now it's time for me to go ahead and tighten all these guys up. I have this little impact wrench. It's a nice little tool. But you can do this by hand, it's perfectly fine. You don't want too strong of a drill if you're gonna use a cordless drill, because you don't want to over tighten them. So this thing has a clutch, so I can control how strong it is. Okay, now that we have all the bolts tightened up, we're gonna go ahead and cut this. I always like to cut this liner free from the opening right when I finish, and that way that the sealant is still a little bit damp, a little bit moist, I said, and then you can run your fingers through it and get it pushed down really well. This is the little flap I was telling you about. It gives us a little bit of freedom here, so I can set large character stones like this and not worry about pulling this tight. You see, if I pulled that tight all the time, it could make this seal fail. So I have the ability to set large stones like this because I have a little bit of freedom in my liner right here. And in worst case scenario, if you screwed something up and the skimmer started to settle or move a little bit, you could still take it apart and have some freedom to do that. So that's just a tip I wanted to give you, but we're gonna cut this open right now. And I'll just use that as a guide. Just go right across that bar. This one will come down. Okay. I'm gonna cut this straight up and out. All right. On this skimmer has this extra support lip across the top. You see this bump right here? Water level's down 2 inches from the top, so water level's down approximately right here, somewhere in this range. And so I like to cut underneath this lip and pull the liner around the corner and then cut in the upward fashion. And this allows me to do a really nice tight edge treatment, like so. See that? Cut this piece off. So that's how I trim that. I'll do the same to this side as well. Okay, that frees me up to do my edge treatment. This is what I talk about, just running my finger through that. So I like to cut this thing first. That way when it hardens off, I don't have any loose sealant anywhere that could potentially peel. So, all right, I think that's golden.